Hey, Wendy Jo, can you hear me? Okay, I don't hear you.
Okay, sorry, we had muted. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we do.
Okay,
All
great.
right, well, we're about to get started.
All right.
All right, give me just a second. All right, so you should have supplies on your table. As I said, you're really going to kind of work in pairs because we are doing something we've never done before. Right. And there's only so many supplies in the church kitchen and that I could round up. So and some of the ingredients, like the large can of crushed tomatoes, you're going to share with a partner because you only need half the can. So as we move through, you have, like I said, most of the ingredients there on your table. There are a few you'll come up to me to get as we get there, but I will get us started in just a second. Tim, do you want to give everybody mixing bowls too? Okay. Yes, ma'am. You can do it. It's fine. Yeah, you'll be fine. Okay. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you for playing along with us tonight, and I hope this will be fun. I think it will be. When Joyce sent me an email many months ago, or many weeks ago, I guess, asking me to lead a cooking class, my first response was, why me? I'm not a cook. I don't really cook all that much. But in all Joyce's wisdom, she said, please don't answer now, just think about it. And those are very wise words because once I thought about it, immediately one of my good friends, Wendi Spaker, came to mind. When we were locked in for COVID and we were at home all the time, Wendi started something with those of us that she would send us in the middle of the week a list of ingredients and a recipe that we were going to make. And on Sunday afternoons, we would all log on to Zoom and Wendi would lead us through a cooking demonstration and we would make the dish and there was usually enough to go for the week. And we just had a really good time with that. And, it was great to prepare the food, but it was even more important that we were being together. And that was really what I wanted to replicate tonight. So it's great that we're going to make some food and we're going to learn some things, but really it's about just being together and having a good time. So please know that and be patient with me if things are a little chaotic at times because we've never done it before. So it is my delight to introduce to you to my precious friend, Wendi Spaker. Wendi and I graduated college together and have remained close in a group that we affectionately call the Maryville College Sweet Soft Southern Thrills. And we have a big text group message that stays active all the time. We are always texting each other to keep up on life events, share things that are going on, and most importantly, if something's going on in our lives that we can pray for each other, we do that as well. And so we are just a very special group, and needless to say, I'm thrilled to be a part of that group. Wendi states on her website that's called Loaves and Dishes, which I'm hoping she's going to tell us how she got that name, that she believes that food made with love and passion has power. It can bring people together and carry them home. She has been mastering Southern comfort food recipes and cooking techniques for over 35 years. Wendi, no way. We can't be that old. How can it be over 35 years?
You are that old.
I know. Believe me, I know. Wendi and her daughter, Sarah, invite us to their table to not only learn some great recipes and tips, but also to just enjoy some time together around the tables in our room. Obviously, for logistical reasons, it was impossible for us all to be in the kitchen. Wendi has graciously adapted some of the recipes so we can prepare them in this space and at the same time watch her and Sarah prepare the sauces and give us lots of tips that we can replicate at home. We're going to prepare 2 different sauces tonight in the room that everyone can make and take home. And then we're going to also watch 2 more that are going to be demonstrated that we'll have the recipes for. So you'll get all 4 recipes when you leave tonight. My hope tonight is that we can enjoy being around the table together, like I said, laughing, sharing, talking, building some great pasta sauces to take home, and to possibly share with others who might come to mind, because that's part of being family and thinking about others. Is this might not be something that you necessarily keep, you might give it away. In the Bible, there are many references of Jesus dining with others. Jesus's table calls us to come and dine, to feast on who he is, and I hope that tonight we will bring honor and glory to him during our time together. I'm going to now turn it over to Wendi, Joe, and Sarah. She can hear me or you if you talk into the mic, but other than that, we kind of kept the room muted because it would be hard to talk over her. But if you have a question, feel free to snag me and I can ask her. Wendi, Joe, and Sarah, thank you both again for being with us. We look forward to what you have to share and for you sharing your story. So I'll turn it to you.
Hey everyone, how are you doing? Yay, I'm so excited for tonight. I don't know how long you've known about this class, but I've known about it for a while, and it's been so much fun planning it and talking to Maria and deciding what we were going to do. So even if you've only just found out about it, I've been excited about this for a while. So Maria kind of told you some of the things I was going to start with, which is how she and I got to know each other. We've been knowing each other, it feels like forever. So, but I do have a question. Look around the room and tell me who is the boldest person in the room. Look at the fingers pointing. Who are they pointing to, Maria?
Madeline.
Madeline. Okay, Madeline. I need for Madeline to set an alarm that gives us 10 minutes before the end of class.
Can she do it?
Okay.
She can do it.
Madeline, I need for you to, no matter what happens, attack Maria when your alarm goes off, because that's our cutoff. That's when we're going to stop doing whatever we're going to do, and we're going to make sure we have enough time to answer questions, because I'm sure questions are going to come up, and you're in this big room, and you maybe need to ask but can't ask right now because you don't have the microphone. So we'll answer the questions. And just let me say this. If you get home and you're like, oh my goodness, I don't know what to do, I am always available by email. I may not answer right that minute, but you can email me and I will, or leave a comment on my website and I will answer your question. I'll call you if I need to. So I want to make sure you get these recipes down and that you know what to do and that you feel comfortable with them. So we're going to do 4 recipes tonight if we have time. The last one, though, is really just an adaptation of one of the other ones. So if we don't quite get all the way through that, that's no worry. I'll send you home with the directions. 2 of them, 3 of them you can put in the freezer. So if you want to make these ahead of time, like on a Sunday as a preparation for the week, you can absolutely do that. Or if you want to make them to give away as a gift, like for a new mom or somebody who's had surgery or when there's been a death in the family or something like that, that's perfectly reasonable for 3 of these sauces. The first one we're going to do, the Alfredo sauce, though, is it's best if you do it right now, but you can warm it up later. So, and it's good for about 5 days if you keep it in the refrigerator. So I want to introduce somebody to you that's here in the room with me. This is Sarah. Sarah's my daughter, and she works with me on the Loaves and Dishes website. And I did want to tell you just a few things about Loaves and Dishes. It's Loaves and Dishes, like the loaves and fishes, only it's Loaves and Dishes. And you can find the website at loavesandishes.net or at loavesanddishes.com, either one. Oh, I wanted to take my glasses off so that my glasses aren't shining in your face. I began the website in 2014 as a hobby because people were always asking me for my recipes, and I always read food blogs, so I just wanted to start one myself, and I did. And it has grown. Back before 2014, I was a nurse for about 30 years. Mostly I worked in home care and hospice, mostly in management positions and also in pediatrics. Um, and I love being a nurse. I think I do great as a nurse, but I love writing about food and recipes and sharing with people that way even more. So, Sarah has worked with me since almost the beginning. She was in college when I started this journey, and she would start by making some of the recipes and taking some pictures and that kind of thing. Sarah is a musician and she has a degree in music education. She worked for a year as an elementary music teacher, but then COVID came along. And when it was time to go back into the classroom, that just wasn't the right decision for her. So she left teaching and works with me full time now. So I'm really excited to have her. That's one of the reasons we have good acoustics for things like our podcast, which was almost impossible to figure out, by the way. But she figured it out. So she will mostly be behind the scenes managing the technical part of what we're doing on this end this evening. But you may see her some like stirring things, or you may hear me say, can you fix this? I don't know how to fix this. So that's what that's all about. So with that, I'm going to get started with our Alfredo sauce. And I need Sarah to turn on our camera. And I'm not sure what that's going to do. I'm hoping that that will show you the saucepan in the largest picture. We're going to see how that turns out. So anyway, I'm going to tell you while she's working on that. There's my saucepan. I don't know if you can see that. I can no longer see you. So I'm just going to go forward and I'll see if we hear Maria or not.
Yeah, we can see it, Wendi. It looks good.
Okay, good. Well, this is one of my all-time favorite recipes. I hope that you will find this as great as I do. This is an Alfredo sauce. And it's so simple. It's one stick of butter. Can you turn this on? Set it up. It's a stick of butter, a block of cream cheese, a cup of milk. And what you're going to see is that I don't actually measure a lot of things. And for the recipes we're doing tonight, you don't really have to measure them so much. But a cup of heavy cream. If you're opposed to heavy cream, you can use milk. The larger percent, the better. So like whole milk is going to be way better than skim milk. It's just going to have a better taste. We've got some feedback going on, so hold on just a second. All right. And then I've got a cup of Parmesan cheese. And that's going to be about half of a can of the green stuff. So you're going to heat this over medium heat on your stove top. And you're just going to break up the cream cheese as you go. And what you're going to find as this heats up is that sometimes the cream cheese and the butter don't want to melt like you want them to. And what we're going to do if that happens is we're going to use a whisk. Plain old whisk, nothing special. Oh, hold on, we've got some more technical issues.
I do have all the recipes, but to keep them clean and you're off your table, we just thought we could get them at the end.
Oh, wait, that was Maria talking. Hold on a second.
Yeah, that was me. Sorry.
Okay, what did you say, Maria?
I was just telling them that we have all the recipes, but we didn't put them on the table because we wanted to keep them clean.
Yeah, Maria will share all the recipes with you. So what I want to tell you about this Alfredo sauce, Sarah's having a cow about the sound because, you know,
I don't know
music
music because I can't mute your phone completely.
What if you just slide a little?
I already slid.
Oh, it slid right now?
It's down as far as it'll let me go.
No, I mean,
What does she need to do?
we've got the two phones going and we need to completely mute one of them because we're getting
Yeah, that's
feedback.
what our sound guy said. Just mute one of them.
There, one of them is muted.
One's muted and turned all the way down. Not using this little slider button.
I just did it.
This one.
That's the one.
He said to turn the sound off on the computer or the phone, one or the other.
The sound is far down on the phone as it will go. It won't go completely away because it's a Zoom feature.
Oh,
And one of them is muted and the other is not. We didn't have this issue when we did the test.
Is it feedbacking on your end, Maria?
Yeah, that's why we're doing
yes.
Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna stop this video. Okay, we're gonna stop the video looking at the saucepan. It's about made at this point anyway, so maybe we can move this closer here where you can see it better. There we go.
Mm.
There.
It does sound like birds.
We don't have any birds. I want the feature that makes me look real skinny in this picture. Okay, well, what I want to tell you about this Alfredo sauce is the reason I love this so much is because it is totally versatile. I use this same sauce to make macaroni and cheese. So to this, what I just put in the pot here, I add about half a block of Velveeta, and then that goes perfectly like 1 to 2 pounds of pastas. So like the rotini pasta or macaroni pasta, and that's a terrific macaroni and cheese sauce. You can add any kind of protein to this. So if you like shrimp Alfredo, cook you up some shrimp, perfect sauce. It's great for chicken Alfredo or pasta primavera, or you can add little chunks of pork. So a great Alfredo sauce for whatever kind of protein. Tofu works great with it. We also like to use this for fondue. So if you have a fondue pot, put this in the fondue pot, and then you can dip your bread in it or your vegetables in it, or whatever you like to have with your fondue. So Maria and I have had some great fondue nights with our friends. So this is the most versatile sauce you're gonna ever find, and it's delicious. It has one problem. This is the one issue. It thickens really quickly. So here's how you want to serve it. You want to prepare your pasta and serve it in like a large bowl at the table. And then you want to take your sauce and just pour it over the top at the table. That is a fantastic way to serve this, because that's so impressive. People go, ooh, wow, when you pour the sauce over. And it's just delicious. It will save in the fridge for about 5 days. When you get ready to reheat it, heat it up on low, medium low, and add a little milk to it. Just a little milk stir, little milk stir, little milk stir, until it's however thin that you want it. It'll be as thick or as thin as you like for your sauce to be. So that's our Alfredo sauce. There's some tips and tricks in the handout that Maria's going to give you. There's notes on there. There's ways to reheat it. All the things I just said.
We don't freeze that one, right?
Do not freeze this one. It will not. When you thaw it, it'll be watery and chunky, and you won't ever get it to go back together with a whisk. So that's the Alfredo sauce. I'm going to hand this off to my trusty assistant here, and we're going to move on with our marinara sauce, which you are going to make. Let me grab my stuff, because we're in Sarah's kitchen here. So let me grab my stuff off the back here.
So now you all are going to make this one.
Yes, you are going to make this one. And I'm going to make it with you.
North Carolina. You're North Carolina, right?
Yes, we're in
Yeah.
North Carolina.
Danbury.
North of Salem, about 45 minutes. So
Danbury. It's about 45 from Winston-Salem.
okay, have you got all your stuff together?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. All right. Let me get the computer where I can see it. All right, this is a marinara sauce, and it is fantastic for all. It's a basic red sauce. So great with pasta, with protein in it, all the proteins we just talked about. And I'm going to make mine in a Ziploc bag. I think that's Maria, does everybody there also have a Ziploc?
I have bowls if you would rather mix in the bowl
Bowls.
before you put in the bag, or you can go
Great.
straight to the bag, either one.
I
This
would
one might be a little easier to do in the bowl first, since you're going to share the the crushed tomatoes. I think the lemon caper you can do straight in the bowl. I mean, straight in the bag.
Yeah, either way is fine. And my face may be partially cut off because I'm trying to angle it down towards my bowl here. So first thing is you're going to get your 15-ounce can of tomato sauce. This is a typical size household can. But tomato sauce comes in usually in like a smaller can or this typical like vegetable can. And you want the one that's the vegetable can size. And then a small can of tomato paste. Mine is 6 ounces. Sometimes they're 4 ounces.
And Wendi, I will say we do have to do can opener too, so that might take us a little bit.
That's
'cause we
okay.
have to share.
Keep talking, and you can share your.
The sauce had a flip top lid on it, but the others have to be opened.
I got you. I don't know if you have one of these, but I have one of these teeny tiny spatulas. I have several of them, but teeny tiny spatulas. I use mine all the time, and it's perfect for tomato paste. So if you don't have one and you're at Walmart or somewhere and see one, that's a great thing to have in your kitchen. So and then I wanted to talk to you for a second because I went to this. I told Maria that the San Marzano tomatoes are the best to use for this. Oh, and look at that! My little pull top on my can broke. I'm gonna have to open mine with a can opener. But when I went to the grocery, I didn't find the San Marzano tomatoes.
Yeah, I ended up getting them at Whole Foods.
Well, it's not
just the crushed. I got regular for everything else.
Yeah, that's fine. Sometimes you can't find them, and that's fine. But the San Marzano seem to have a little better flavor and a brighter red color has been my experience. So that's why I like to get those. So, and I think she said you were sharing cans of those, right, Maria? So, and you can mix as you go. That's what I like to do. And then a heavy pinch of chipotle powder.
Okay, Wendi, wait a minute.
Okay.
Slow down. Let him get the cans open.
Oh, okay.
You know, can openers are not fun.
Yeah, I know. And they don't all work that great either.
No, they all don't work the same.
All right, well, I'm going to talk about this sauce while y'all are opening cans and things. How about that?
Perfect.
So if you're making this sauce right away, like say you're making it to make for dinner tonight, we're using granulated or powdered garlic powder and onion powder, but you can use regular old fresh onion and fresh garlic in this. And really those are to taste. So if I were making this for dinner tonight, I'd be using like a whole small onion, mincing it, and then several cloves of garlic. I love garlic, so I'm going to go heavy on that, like probably 4 cloves at least, minced. And then you're going to brown that in some butter and do that first before you add anything else. Put that all in your pan. And I usually make this in a large skillet, like a stainless steel skillet. One thing you don't want to do is ever make anything that's tomato saucy or tomato based in a cast iron skillet, because it'll take the finish off your cast iron. And that's not a big deal. You can redo your cast iron without much trouble, but it's just kind of a pain, and it's easier to just avoid that altogether by using stainless steel, or you can use your non-stick cookware. You don't have to use a skillet. You can make this in a saucepan, really whatever you've got that'll sit on the stove. This recipe is easily doubled. So say you're cooking for a large crowd, you can double it, or you could half it. You can freeze what you have left over too. This freezes very well. So none of that is a problem. If when we make this, you say to yourself, that looks good, but I would like to have mine thicker than that, then what you need to do is just let it simmer on the stove. The longer you let it simmer, the thicker it will get. If it's thicker than what you like already, you can just add a little water or broth, and that will thin it down. So it's very adjustable and very kind to somebody who doesn't cook a lot. If you want to fix it today and keep it in your fridge to eat on this week, it'll last at least 5 days covered in the fridge. So,
Hey, Wendy.
yes,
Sorry.
ma'am.
Have you put in the crushed tomatoes too?
Yes, I went ahead and did the,
Okay. Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Yep. So,
Can openers have caused a little bit of a delay, but we're getting there.
Okay. That's okay.
Some of them in the room are better than others.
Hey, I get it.
You know how good can opener is? Hard to find.
There is nothing more frustrating than a can opener that won't quite do its job. So,
Williams-Sonoma.
yeah, Sarah just said Williams-Sonoma has great can openers, and this KitchenAid can opener that I have, I've had it for at least 10 years, and it is fantastic. I got it.
Well, I have a Pampered Chef one, and you know that one is kind of awkward sometimes.
Oh, is it?
If you're not used to it.
Here,
Don't show
here's
the other side.
Okay, she doesn't want me to show the other side. This is the Williams-Sonoma can of food. He says it's great.
It was like $10.
$10. Yeah, mine was about $7. So what can you do with this recipe? You can, of course, put it over pasta. You can dip your pizza crust in it. It's great as a sauce for stuffed peppers. It goes great with cabbage, and as the base of any meat sauce, and it's kind of the base of the meat sauce I'm going to make later. So if the can openers get us stopped up for too long and we don't get to the meat sauce, just know that it's basically this marinara sauce with some brown meat in it.
Okay, so after all the tomatoes, what was the next thing?
The next thing was a heavy pinch of chipotle pepper.
Okay, so everybody should have that on your table. You're just going to do a heavy pinch of it. Chipotle chili powder.
If you are averse to spicy things, then just leave this part off. Just don't do the peppers. But if you like a little spice in your stuff, the heavier the pinch, the spicier it's going to be. You can dip bread in this. You can put it over scrambled eggs or like an egg casserole that you're doing for a holiday. At the end of the recipe, you'll notice says add 3 tablespoons of heavy cream. But that is something you want to do at home when you're heating this up to serve it right before you serve it. And all that does is it takes a little edge off of the sauce. So it just adds a little note of creaminess. It's not much. And if you forgot to do it, it wouldn't be the end of the world. It would be fine. So in putting these recipes together, I tried to pick things that were very, very forgiving in case that not all of you were regular cooks. So if you have your chipotle pepper in there, then the next thing is going to be to add a teaspoon of brown sugar, which I forgot to bring over here.
You should have brown sugar in a little, all of it. Yep. All
And
of
this
it.
is
We
another
did
thing.
measure that, so it's already ready to go.
Oh, you measured it already. Okay.
Oh, we did.
I was just gonna say, if this is one of those things, some people really like a sweet tomato sauce and some people do not. So if you're one of those people that is not as crazy about a sweet sauce, then, go light on the brown sugar. And then a half a teaspoon of garlic powder.
The garlic powder and onion powder is already measured and mixed together. So when you dump it in, you're getting both of them.
Yeah, and the next thing is going to be the onion powder. So I'm going to share a secret with you that I didn't know before, but I bought this fine onion powder from Sam's Club, which I thought would be the same as regular. It is not the same as granulated onion powder. It's much finer, and when you sprinkle it, it makes a dust in the air, and you get onion up your nose. And I do not recommend, but it's what I've got, so that's what I'm using. And then we're gonna add salt and pepper to taste. So for me, that's a couple of heavy pinches of salt and pepper. And usually when you add pepper to a recipe, it's about half of whatever salt you added. So, and then you just mix it all up. And if you've got your Ziploc bag, you just put it in your Ziploc bag, and then you're good to go. You can put this in you can put it right in the freezer, save it, whatever you'd like to do. And don't forget how good this is to dip a bread in, like if you have toasted bread.
Do they know the trick about pouring bread in the bag?
No. I'm gonna let Sarah tell you a trick about bags.
Okay, so when you're working with a plastic bag like this, to make it easier to pour things into, if you'll take the top and fold it down, it gives the bag a little bit of stability, and it will, if you like kind of put your hands in and spread it out, it will make like a bowl, and it'll stand up. And then when you go to pour things in, it won't make a mess. Although if you're like me, you will almost always make a mess. So, but that's okay. Do you need this bowl again for the piccata sauce?
Yeah, she did make that look really easy pouring in that bag.
Oh, I did spill some on the counter though. So, and then you just take the top and roll it up, and there's nothing in the Ziploc part, so it zips up really easily. And you want to make sure that you squeeze out as much of the air as possible. Because the less air that's in the bag, the better. It will keep longer. And then when I put things in the freezer, I like to spread them out flat like this, so that they take up less space, because I have a teeny tiny freezer, but that's just me. But yeah, so then, and then this can go right in the freezer, and it is ready for another day. But okay, so let us clean up from that. And while she does that, I want to show y'all something. So if you go to flea markets or antique stores or whatever, you'll often see small pottery bowls like this. These are some that I made when I took a pottery class, and they weren't very good, but I kept them. What small pottery bowls like that can do is they can really dress up your table and offer your guests some, it just looks very fancy if you have guests. So like what you could do with this is put chives in one, put some Parmesan cheese in one, put some parsley in one, things that you might like, small things that you might like with your sauce. And then it's your guest's choice as to what they add to their plate, and it just looks so fancy. I do this all the time at home. People often say, "Oh, that was such a nice touch to have things in a little bowl on the table." And for my part, it didn't take any extra effort, and these were inexpensive. So even if they got broke, it wouldn't be any big deal. And it's just a nice touch to do when you have guests, and that's something I just wanted to share with you. So we will move on to our what are we doing next? Our lemon caper sauce. do you want that bowl, or are you cooking this one?
No, we're not cooking it because they're making it with us. So let me get our lemon caper sauce ingredients out.
You get out like 2 teaspoons of this capers. has even tinier bowls than I have. All right, this lemon caper sauce. I'm going to turn this up towards me just a little bit. There we go. The lemon caper sauce. I want to share with you that I created this recipe because someone I know, that one over there, really, really, really loves chicken piccata. So this is kind of like the basis of my chicken piccata sauce. And if you would like to see that recipe, just you can hop on the website and get that recipe. It's easy, but that's kind of what this is basically, but we had to kind of redevelop it so that it's something that you can take home and mix up in this fashion for class. But how you're going to use this sauce, it's not something you just like dump over pasta like you would a marinara. This is going to be like a braising liquid for your chicken or for your veal or your pork or whatever type of meat you want to have. And then you definitely want to serve it with a starch. So a noodle or a mashed potato or something like that, something heavier and thicker, because this is a very bright and light sauce. And then I will tell you at the end how to thicken this so that it is more like a lemon piccata, if that's what you prefer. And then the other caveat I want to add is that if you are not so crazy about lemon, like if it's okay, but it's not your prime objective, like somebody I know, then you can go lighter on the zest, because the zest is what gives this the heavier lemon flavor. When Maria hands out the handout to you, you'll see that it starts out with chicken breasts, but not more than an inch thick. So if you're going to do this with chicken, as I said, you can use veal or whatever kind of protein you want to use. But if you are using chicken, you know how chicken's thick on one end and thin on the other, especially those big giant breasts we get today. Then use a pounder, like a meat pounder, or even just a soup can, and pound it down so that it's the same thickness on the thick end as it is on the thin end. And that's going to make you have a chicken breast about this big unless you cut it in half or something. So you'll notice that, and that is what you will then braise with this liquid. So anyway, so let's start on our sauce. We're going to start with chicken broth. And you're going to use a cup of chicken broth. And I don't know how Maria has that divided out. She may already have it measured out for you. I'm not sure. Do you want to measure it? I'll just pour it in here.
I do not have it measured out, so
Okay.
but they all have some at the table.
Okay, great.
I have bigger if you want to use. This is a half a cup.
That's a cup. I'm just making sure I got everything out here. Maria, tell me when everybody's kind of got their chicken broth together.
Okay. Well, we had two different containers. So we had the cartons, which were easier, but then we had some cans too. So we're having to scoop with those. So
I got you.
we're close.
Okay. Maybe what I'll do is let you make it while they answer questions. Can we do that? Can I do next week? Yeah.
She likes what?
Yeah. Only everything. No, I was gonna mix up some more sauce. Okay, we're doing technical things on our end, so. All right, so what you're gonna do is then when you get home, you're gonna put this sauce over your meat, and then you're gonna put a lid on it and keep it on a low temperature, as 200, 250, and that will slowly cook your meat. And then you're going to flip the meat so that make sure it gets it on the other side. It's really important though for this recipe
to use a thermometer. I think Maria won one of my favorite thermometers once watching one of my TV shows, but she won a thermopop if I remember right.
I did.
But they're great thermometers. But any thermometer will work. The chicken you want to cook to an internal temperature of 165, and that's when it's done. So when it reaches 165, whether you're saying to yourself that's done or you're saying that doesn't quite look done, it's done. 165, it's done. Go ahead and pull it off, and just pull it off the heat. What you're going to serve this with. So your meat with your sauce, and then like I said, a starch. You're going to need a heavier starch, like a mashed potato or a pasta. And then what else works good with it is a bright green vegetable, like a broccoli or a sauteed spinach or something like that. Fresh green salad always works great. And it's perfect with Southern sweet tea. So that sweetness off of that lemony, vinegary sauce works really good. Once you've braised your chicken or your meat that you're going to do in this, you look at the sauce that's left in your pan. If it looks too thin to you to use like you would want to, then what you can do is thicken it. And the easiest way to thicken it is with a little cornstarch. And I'm just going to tell you how to do cornstarch in case you don't know. So cornstarch, it's inexpensive. It's on the baking aisle. And what you'll do is take two spoonfuls and then get about an equal amount of cold or cool water. Do not try to use that hot braising liquid, or what you're going to end up with is white lumps in your sauce. That's not going to be appealing at all. In a separate cup, put your cornstarch, put your cool liquid in there, and then take a fork and whisk it together. And it will look like milk. And it will be very, very hard to stir at first, and then it will loosen up and it'll get real thin like milk. You add that to your hot braising liquid, and you just stir, and you keep stirring over the heat, and you'll see that it starts to thicken, sometimes kind of quickly, sometimes a little more slowly, but give it a few minutes. If after about 5 minutes it's not as thick as you want, just repeat the process until it's as thick as what you like for what you're serving. So, okay. So did everybody get your chicken broth in there?
Yes.
Okay, great. So now we're going to add about a 1/4 cup of lemon juice. And if you're doing this at home and you have lemons, you just use the juice of 2 lemons, because you're going to use the zest of your 2 lemons in a little bit. Oh, I need something mixed with. Just grab a spatula or something in my container. Okay. Oh, container. Sorry, I didn't have anything to mix with. Okay. And then once you have your lemon juice, looks like folks are getting their lemon juice together.
I have some lemon thyme growing outside.
Oh, wow. That would be great.
Yeah, it would. Rosemary, I think it too. I also have basil. Ton of basil.
I don't know if y'all have ever used capers before. Capers look like little peas, but what they really are is the blossom of a flower. And at the moment, the type of flower is escaping me, but they're preserved in vinegar. And so I imagine that Maria has probably already rinsed them off for you.
Yes, we rinsed them. I will say, Wendi, that there was a run on capers in the city of Louisville. I went to 4 different Krogers to get capers. I bought them out every place we went. It was kind of weird. They were hard to find.
You know what? That when I bought them today at Food Lion, and I think there was only 2 jars when I bought these. Yeah. So I can sympathize, because when we were figuring out that you get like 4 servings out of a jar, that probably left you with trying to find mini jars. So anyway, if you didn't have enough capers, you could substitute some olives, because it would give you the same.
They're salty.
They're salty. That's kind of what capers add. They add their own flavor, but it's mostly a salty flavor. So if you needed to, you could take olives and chop them up real small, if you got green olives, you might not even really tell much difference. But anyway, once everybody has their lemon juice added, you just go ahead and add your 2 tablespoons of capers. And the reason you're not never going to get all the vinegar off of them, so just a quick rinse is fine. It's going to add some vinegar. That's what you're wanting, is that vinegary flavor anyway. And then I imagine that Maria probably already zested lemons, because I can't imagine you have enough of these microplanes to zest.
Actually, lemon. I did not zest any lemon.
Oh, okay.
But can you just show them?
Yeah, I'm going to show you. So lemon, when you're zesting, you use a microplane. That's this thing. If you've ever had your feet done at the feet place, that's what they use on. Mine has not been used on people heels. They don't. Sarah says they don't, but they do. Anyway, when you rub your lemon on here, you'll see that on the back, little tiny pieces of the rind come off on there. And when you're zesting, see how it's getting down to the white part? You don't want to get down into the white part. There's a text from our girls group, right? Anyway, so, and you just go around, and it's not good. You don't have to get the entire lemon, just most of it. It's not that big of a deal, really. So, and your recipe will work just fine with just the lemon juice. So don't worry about that. And then once you kind of do that all the way around the lemon, then tap your microplane real good on the edge of your bowl so that the little pieces fall down in there. And then Maria and I had this discussion earlier. The recipe calls for a sprig of oregano, and if you're unable to find that, parsley's fine. But dried is fine too. So, you know, we live in a time when you can't always find things. Like, I haven't been able to find basil at my grocery store in weeks. And I didn't grow any this year. So I just learned just now standing here that my daughter has had basil, I guess, all summer.
Yeah, I got a huge basil plant.
But I haven't had any basil. So
you want some basil?
Yeah, I'm gonna get some basil before I go. So it's fine to use dried oregano. And if you've got dried oregano, then you need about half a teaspoon of dried oregano.
So it should be measured out. You have that at the table.
Yeah. Again, not an exact amount, just about half a teaspoon is fine. And then salt and pepper, again, to taste. So for me, that's always like 2 sprinkles of salt and a sprinkle or so of pepper. And you mix that all around. And you'll see that's not a great deal of liquid in there for 2 great big old chicken breasts, but it will be plenty for braising. So, and then for making a sauce with that afterward. Then you can take this home, and it will save in the fridge just like this for at least a week. Because what's mostly in there is lemon juice and vinegar. But you can also freeze it. You can give it to somebody, that kind of thing. And again, if you want the original lemon piccata recipe, which is similar ingredients, just done a little differently, then just go check out my website and you'll have that. But to thicken this, the cornstarch, after you've braised your chicken, then this works with the cornstarch. So, all right, let's see. How are we doing on time? You got
Madeline, how's our time? Three minutes.
3 minutes. Okay, so here
Before
is
the 10.
Here is our mad plan for the end of this. What we're gonna do on this end is I'm gonna let Sarah put the meat sauce together. And again, it's very similar to the marinara, but it has, I use hot Italian sausage, which I want to show you something about that. Do you want me to cut up the mushrooms in the onion? The mushrooms are already. What about the onion? Just use onion powder and garlic powder instead. Okay, so a hot Italian sausage. You can sometimes find it like this. It's just like sausage, like you find breakfast sausage. I ended up having to get sweet because they didn't have the hot when I went. Or sometimes you'll find it and it's in like a sausage link.
And what I wanted to tell you is when it's in a link like that, you just squeeze it out of the casing and chop it up with your, with your wooden spoon. And that is exactly the same thing as hot Italian sausage like this. So it's just put in a casing and then you just toss the casing. So that's what you mainly need to know about the meat sauce. And you can make the meat sauce with any kind of meat that's ground. So ground turkey, ground chicken, ground beef, which is what I have for today. That and but always put that Italian sausage with it because that adds a ton of flavor, a ton. You don't want to leave out the sausage unless you don't eat pork. So the other thing I wanted to show you is, I'm going to turn the phone down here where you can see how that, big old chunk of meat. Usually we break it up like this, right? We have to stand for a long time, standing here, chopping away. There is a tool they make that looks like a little turbine that you can use to chop and tear the meat. But you can also just, if you have like an old-fashioned potato masher like this, if you use that instead, you can just whack away at the meat like that, and that's so much quicker and easier than trying to do it with a wooden spoon. So, and this is a newer one. You don't have to have an old-fashioned one. So, anyway, okay. Well, let's get some questions rolling here. Does anybody have questions?
Anybody have a question? Got it. Thank you. 7:20. Francis? Where in the store do you find capers?
They are in my store, and in most stores I've been in, they're in the pickle section.
Yeah, with pickles. Pickles in the pickle section.
And you'll usually see that they're way at the top of the shelf or way down at the bottom because they're not a super popular item.
Yeah. And they're not very expensive. I mean, they were like $1 for the jar. I mean, so it is a really inexpensive. At least they were on sale at Kroger, which is why there was such a run, I'm sure.
And don't forget, you can use olives and just chop those up if you can't find capers.
Right. Okay. What else do you use capers for?
What else do you use? I've only ever used them in sauces. Do you know of another use? No.
Somebody said something in the room. Tuna fish. Some people put it in tuna fish.
Oh, okay. I can see that. Nice vinegary bite on your tuna fish. Yeah.
So Wendi, I had a question, and I would think I would know, but I don't know. How did you come up with the name Loaves and Dishes?
It just came to me. I don't know. I think it's one of those God things, like, when I had finally decided I was going to do a, website and food blog, I wrote down a list of names and I had a lot of options, and I wanted to make sure that the social media accounts were available and that kind of thing. But the one that just kept sticking in my mind was Loaves and Dishes, primarily because Jesus fed the masses with loaves and fishes, right? And my goal really is I love to feed people, and I love to see people enjoy their food. And I'm not sure that's what Jesus was aiming for he just wanted to get people fed, I think. But my personal goal is to really feed people. I love to watch people eat and enjoy their meal. So it just stuck in my mind that Loaves and Dishes would be a good play on those words, right?
Cool.
So, any other questions?
So I had, how did you go from nursing to food blogging?
Well,
you sort of talked about it, but.
Yeah. So I was a nurse for many, many years, and I did nursing mainly because it paid the bills and I enjoyed the work, but it never really felt like a calling. So recipes and cooking and that kind of thing became a hobby because I had 3 children and I love to eat good food, but we couldn't afford to go out to eat very often or that kind of thing. So I just had to learn to cook things on my own. And what I learned over all those years of cooking for 3 children and a husband was it takes just as much time and money to cook something that tastes terrible as it does to learn to cook something that tastes great. So I just worked on it as a hobby for many years, and over time that hobby turned into a job. I didn't necessarily intend for it to. And Sarah, I know you probably think that she just grew up around me cooking and that's how she learned to cook, but that's not true at all. She never would eat my cooking. She learned to cook when she was in college. That was her college work that she did. She ended up working in fine restaurants. I'm going to say at least 3 or 4 pretty fine restaurants. And she just learned to love cooking from that angle of working in a restaurant. So her knowledge is way different than mine. And I rely on her a lot for some of that knowledge. So.
Do you still do the Zooms is the question.
Oh, no, I keep saying that I need to, but I haven't done it. So this is the first thing like that I've done since 2020 when we were all locked down and locked in. And when I did those, I'm sure Maria remembers, it was just a thing to do on Sunday afternoon. I just kind of committed that I'm going to do this to help people get through the boredom and the loneliness until we're not all locked down and can't see each other. So
but you do have some recordings I've seen on social media and stuff where you're recording kind of like this, but specifically making a recipe.
Oh yeah, if you go to our YouTube channel, you can watch just about every day Sarah puts out a new video. So you can watch Sarah and listen to her make various recipes every 5 days a week. Is that what you're doing? 5 days a week on YouTube. So occasionally it's me, I'll shoot her a video and say, or I'll go ahead and put it on YouTube and say, I put a video on, so don't schedule over the top of me, please. But yeah, you're more than welcome to come see all. She makes stuff that I don't use, that I wouldn't necessarily make sometimes. You did a mushroom soup? No, with the fancy mushrooms from the Sandy Ridge Farmers Market.
Oh yeah, I went to the farmers market one time, and there was a mushroom guy at the farmers market, and I got some. I think it's what's it called? Lion's head mushrooms that are very interesting to look at. They don't really look appealing to eat. They look fluffy. And then what was the other one? It was like a pink chanterelle. But when I was talking to the mushroom guy, he said that a lot of vegans use it as a bacon alternative, and I made it with a marinade, and it was actually really good. It wasn't really a bacon alternative, but it did taste really good. So I've done a couple experimental recipes on YouTube, but here recently we've been gearing up for Thanksgiving, so I've been making. I made a hash brown casserole. I did a green bean casserole. Trying to do a lot of desserts. So if you are on our YouTube, or if you want to follow us on Facebook, please let us know your favorite Thanksgiving recipes, because I would love to try them.
Wendi, what would you say has been the highlight since you started doing this? I know you've traveled some and you've been in some magazines and things like that. What?
Oh, the highlight. There's been so many. I've gotten to go to some great conferences all around the United States. Sarah's been to a few with me. Won some fancy-ish awards, which was nice. The Pioneer Woman featured me in her macaroni and cheese roundup, which I don't know if you know who the Pioneer Woman is, but in the food blogging cooking world, woo, that's a big deal. But to me personally, I'll tell you what the biggest deal to me is. I do a newsletter just about every week. Since my mom got so sick, I haven't been able to get it out every week, but I sit down almost every Friday morning and write a newsletter out to people who sign up for it on the website. And it's really me. And I really do sit down every Friday morning and just write to my people. And I'm going to say that there's just a handful of people who have become my friends. Like there's a older gentleman named Les. We've chatted back and forth 3 or 4 times on email this week. And he shared with me that, he's kind of lonely and older, and what a difference it's made to him to cook for himself. And just reading some of my recipes inspires him to cook for himself. So I know he's getting some nourishment that way. But also he says that he feels like he's got a friend in the world. And so nothing could be more meaningful to me than that, is to know that I've helped somebody not to feel lonely or to be hurting or to be sad. And that sure does me a world of good. That's way better than the Pioneer Woman any day of the week. So.
Okay, any other questions? Oh, Tim has a question.
Okay.
He wants to know how you make money doing this.
Oh, that's a great question because it's not immediately obvious. If you get on the website, you'll see that there's ads on the website. And sometimes I know they're intrusive, and I try to keep that cut back as much as possible because I want you to be able to see the recipes and that kind of thing. But sometimes I don't have all the control over it. But those ads that are on my website are served up through an intermediate company who handles ads. So like I don't have to work with Kraft or All Clad Pans or Toyota or whoever you see an ad for when you log on to the website. They handle that for me. And they keep count of that, and then they send me a check every month.
Yeah, so you make it through the ads.
Right.
Right.
Or when you sign on to YouTube, an ad plays sometimes throughout it'll stop in the middle of the recording and show you an ad. That's how I make money. Then YouTube keeps track of that, and then YouTube sends me a check at the end of the month.
So, yeah. So I had one more question.
Okay.
How can we support you in your work?
Oh, how can you support me? Well, thank you for asking. Well, go to the website and look around, and then when you see an ad, try not to get too frustrated. Just know that I get like a penny every time you see an ad. It adds up. At least it pays my bills. Or, sit through that on YouTube. But my favorite way is when people sign up for my newsletter. I don't actually make any money from that, but I enjoy knowing that people are receiving it and reading it and that kind of thing. So, and that's just on the website on the sidebar if you're on a regular computer, or if you're on your phone, just keep scrolling to the bottom and you'll see, sign up for a newsletter here. And that's how, or the other way is to tell your friends, hey, I went to a cooking class and this lady who owns this website taught the cooking class, go check it out. So those are all ways to support.
Yeah. And she has a recipe box on the website. So you can click if you're looking for a recipe for something. Most of the time, that's my first go-to place, is to see how she has put that together. So it's just a great resource rather than just putting in Google search. This is a site where, somebody has perfected the recipe and tested it out on real people. And so,
right. I'll tell you what I find, because sometimes I just go to Google and look up recipes. You can't always trust the recipes that show up towards the top of the Google search. Sarah made one this week for a turtle cake.
Oh, that was out of a cookbook.
Oh, it was out of a cookbook. Anyway, you can't always trust it. Sometimes it doesn't turn out like you want it to or would expect it to. So, feel free to email me. I'll help you out. I'll help you figure something out or plan out or whatever. I've done that. I don't know how many times. I love doing that. So,
yeah. Well, thank you both. Thank you all for participating. I hope it was fun. Maybe next time we can figure out how to actually be in a kitchen. I don't know. We'll have to figure it out. But
yeah, that would be
thanks
great.
for the patience of trying to do it in this space. And Wendi and Sarah, thank you all for being flexible to help me be able to do it in this space. And just know that we are cheering you on and we appreciate your time tonight. And obviously, I will talk to you soon. But as always, we are praying for you and just thank you again.
Well, thank you.
And thank you all.
Madeline, thank you for keeping time for us. And then, Maria, how many people did we end up with? I can see about maybe 15 there.
39.
Wow. Thanks, y'all. Thank you so much for coming. I'm honored by that. Thank you.
Thank you all. We're passing out the recipe, so make sure you get all 4 before you leave. We are trying to recycle, obviously, the cans that are empty. There's a bin over there if I didn't get it collected earlier. But don't worry about cleaning up. I'll do that. I mean, throw away your garbage, but I can handle putting stuff away. So I'm just really appreciative that you all came and supported this. So thank you. If you would like to make a donation to help offset the cost of the ingredients and everything we purchased, there is a basket here for that. So thank you all. Thanks, Wendi. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, bye-bye.